الكريم أما بعد. So I said there are two other points related to this discussion of hypocrisy. Looking back at these attributes, these people, when they speak, they lie. When they're told don't make mischief, they say we're actually reformers. They're arrogant or they're two-faced. What's common among all of these? For example, when we look at the attributes of those people who have taqwa, in ayahs 2 through 5, what did we say was common? That all of them have this connection with the unseen. Right? You're praying to Allah, you're believing that Allah is there, He's seeing, He's listening, He's answering, that He will reward. They also, the people of taqwa, have trust in Allah. They have this thorough trust and confidence in Allah. What else about the people of taqwa? That they've dedicated their whole life in service to Allah. What's common among these attributes, the attributes of the hypocrites?
They all seem to be revolving around that person, so it's like self-centered.
Okay, so these people might be very, very self-centered. Yeah, absolutely. Sorry?
Egocentric.
So we call these people egocentric? Yeah, definitely. We'll see this especially when we get into the story of Iblis al-Rajim in a couple of weeks. What else are these people? These are people who do not have trust in Allah. Why would I lie? That I don't have confidence that Allah is going to take care of me. So I'm going to lie in this moment. These people, it might even be fair to say that they distrust Allah. Why are these people two-faced? They're trying to please everybody. Yeah. Which means, okay, we're with you. When I'm with you, I'm with you. When I'm with you, I'm actually with you. They're trying to please everyone. The people of taqwa are seeking to please the creation, the creator. Okay. The people of nifaq are seeking to please the creation. The people of taqwa are trying to win the pleasure of Allah. The people of nifaq, the munafiqs, the hypocrites, are trying to win the pleasure of others.
How does when
I'm sorry?
a human has a right with a person, if I were to please somebody, why would it create some sort of a disbelief on my part?
Okay, well, it's not just a general case of, the question is a human is trying to please someone. That doesn't automatically mean disbelief. But if I'm trying to please you at the cost of pleasing Allah.
At the cost of losing your soul or something?
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way to put it. At the cost of your own soul. Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. So, the people of taqwa have this thorough trust of Allah. No matter what hits them, Allah will take care of them. The people of nifaq have distrust of Allah. They don't believe Allah is going to take care of them. So that's why they resort to all these other things, these other behaviors. The people of taqwa are seeking to win the pleasure of Allah over everyone else. The people of nifaq are seeking to win the pleasure of the people around them, ultimately, because, as we said, these are more self-centered people. Now, if I was going to introduce Islam, right? I mean, I've taught Islam at universities, at high schools, at churches, synagogues, etc. If I'm going to introduce Islam, I'm going to talk about the happy stuff, right? Allah is most merciful. This is great, this is great, this is great. Yet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He is giving us the Qur'an, the way it's been laid out to us by the Prophet, peace be upon him, on page 3, page 2, He's speaking about kufr. He's speaking about nifaq. Right? What would be some of the wisdom behind the fact that He is speaking about these subjects so early or even at all? What wisdom can we get from the fact that right in ayah 6 and 7, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, second page of the Quran, third page of the Quran, He's speaking about kafirs and people who are going to hell. And then right after that, He's speaking about hypocrites. What wisdom can we get there?
We're not giving them any different...
Sure. But
I go swim through these oceans of life, of different psychological...
Agreed. That's all. That's a very, very important point. The key here, however, is that what are we seeing? That we can look at these attributes, at least from the start, to see how many of these am I doing. Right? Me trying to be honest with myself. Yeah. Even the attributes of taqwa. How many of those am I doing? Right? So one point here is that who is being addressed here? The reader is being addressed.
So your truthful side is coming out of you.
Well, that's the process. Yeah. It's to pull the truthful side out. Somebody here is raising their hand. Yes?
What I was going to say is that, what is important to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He brings it up. He doesn't, it's not what we think, throughout the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds the Muslims that Allah knows what is better for you.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, so this is in Allah's wisdom, right?
yeah.
Just like all the topics that we find in the Qur'an, the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is speaking about them, we can assume that, okay, these are important if Allah is speaking about them.
Yeah.
And what is also the point here? That this is serious. Now, what do I mean by this? We all understand this is serious, it's the word of Allah, so forth and so on. But going back to the discussion we had on the first day, that one of the issues that we're facing in the community right now is that we're consuming knowledge upon knowledge upon knowledge without much thought of actually practicing it. And what is Allah saying right here on page 2 and page 3? Here's the path of guidance, here's the path of success, here's the path of doom, here's the path of painful doom. Here's the path of guidance and success, the path of taqwa, here's the path of doom, the path of kufr, and here's the path of painful doom, the path of nifaq. And this is serious, meaning it's not something that we just learn and we feel good about ourselves. Well, the point is, you're going to be going down one of these paths.
Once you understand it, you never sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, once you really start understanding how serious this is, it does get hard to sleep. So, I have a friend of mine who started getting into training to become an Islamic scholar, and as he really began to comprehend how serious all this stuff was, he had trouble sleeping at night, night after night after night. But in his case, the real thing that was frightening him was that, okay, here I am living in America. The choices that I make are going to affect the next 5 generations, the next 10 generations. If I don't do anything, that's going to affect the next 5 generations, the next 10 generations. And he couldn't sleep because of it. So, yeah, we're speaking about something that is serious. Sorry? So he went to a psychiatrist, that didn't help. He took sleeping pills, that didn't help. And eventually he just kept working. And I'm assuming he started sleeping eventually. Yeah, so.
Probably you have to make a commitment that I have to be honest, I have to be compassionate, I have
This is
to
what we're talking
be a good
about.
man, I have to be all these levels of understanding.
Yeah.
You have to deepen, you have to fight yourself all your life.
Brother, can you make a short comment so
That's okay.
okay. Due respect, you know.
Now, another topic.
Okay.
Ayah 17 through 20. Here we have a different style of speaking. Now, what types of styles of speaking have we seen so far? In Al-Fatiha, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Most merciful, eternally merciful, master of the day, judge of Rabbil Alameen. And the people of taqwa, we see attributes of the people of taqwa. The people of hypocrisy and hypocrisy attributes. Then we have mysteries like Alif Lam Mim. Now we have another style of speaking. In English we call this metaphor. What is a metaphor?
When you give an example of something in order to explain a particular point.
So one way I can explain is you do 1, 2, 3, 4. Another way I can explain is to say this is like this. So guidance is like light. Misguidance is like darkness.
Yes.
So, Brother Connors, please read for us Ayah 17 through 20. You'll be our official reader for today.
They're like
Go a little slower.
okay, all right. They are like people who labor to kindle a fire. When it lights up everything around them, God takes away all their light, leaving them in utter darkness, unable to see. Deaf, dumb, and blind.
And then what happened? So then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ذَهَبَ اللَّهُ بِنُورِهِمْ وَتَرَكَهُمْ فِي ظُلُمَاتٍ لَا يُبْصِرُونَ. So Allah takes away their light and leaves them in darkness. What have we done? We've looked at each individual part of this ayah, this metaphor. A person is making a light, a fire. Okay? Second thing that happens, the light spreads everywhere. Third thing that happens, these people, Allah takes away their light, and they're left in darkness. Who is this person? Oh, actually, let's take a step back. Most of us, when we see fire, we're going to assume it's negative. Because often when we think of fire, what do we think of? We think of hell. Okay. Or, yeah, at least a regime. But fire is not always negative. Give me an example of fire being positive in the Qur'an. So when Ibrahim alayhi salam was put into the fire, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to the fire to cool Ibrahim alayhi salam. Okay. So water we often think of as positive. Give me an example of water being negative. No, he's Qur'an, right? The people know. Yes, sir.
The ocean's boiling over with the swell when the end of...
Okay, so at the end of time, oceans start to boil over. Yeah, I was hoping for something not as scary, but I guess that's a good example. Okay. What am I saying here? That we see fire here, it doesn't automatically mean it's negative. Who is this person who is making a fire and the light is going everywhere? This is the Prophet, peace be upon him. Okay. So what are these people like? You have the person who is making a fire and the light is going everywhere. And what happens when that light goes everywhere? For these people, it causes them darkness. Okay. Who are these people? These are the people we're just speaking about, monafics and kafirs. Okay. Hypocrites and kafirs, rejectors. So, but the Prophet, peace be upon him, when his light comes, sorry?
No, that's what I was thinking, that if somebody making a fire, that a light is there, then why is it not taking the light? Okay, now I understand.
I'm sure we've all met people who, if you start speaking about religious stuff, of pious stuff, what happens? They turn away. I don't want to hear it.
I don't want to hear
Right? It's like they're allergic to it.
We're talking about alcohol all the time.
Say it again.
Well, I said that I'm sure you've met people who, anytime you start talking about bean, you know, it almost they have an allergic reaction. I don't want to hear it. I don't come near it. What were you saying about
They'll
alcohol?
talk about alcohol all day long in games and everything.
Yeah, they'll talk about all kinds of wrong things, but the second you talk about some pious stuff, it's like they have convulsions.
Most of the 90% of people are like that.
Maybe I don't know. Okay. Now, what are we saying here?
Brother Omar.
Yes, sir.
You're saying that the person that makes the light in the situation is the Prophet,
Yeah.
and then the light spread, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take the belief away from the people who...
Well, not necessarily the belief, but they have their own light. Meaning everybody follows some sort of light.
Allah takes away the light, leave them in the darkness.
Yeah. So think of a hypocrite or a kafir. They're still relying upon something. So the light of the Prophet, peace be upon him, is like the light of the sun, and their light is like the light of a match.
But isn't Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refers to the light that the Prophet lit? He takes that away from them?
Are you talking? No, not necessarily. He's taking away their own light. They have their own light that's different from the light of the Prophet, peace be upon him. So they're relying upon something. What do you think? I'm sorry, what are you saying?
I think people who are hypocrites and hard-hearted, and nothing helps them.
Well, that's exactly what
He's
we're
showing in
saying.
that thing, they're not sincere.
Well, I mean, yeah, they're stuck. It's causing them darkness. The light of the Prophet, peace be upon him, is causing darkness to these people.
So this fire here relates to the coming of Prophet? Or?
So this is the Prophet, peace be upon him, his guidance.
How do you get the connotation of fire to be connected to the Prophet?
maybe this is the most common interpretation of who this is. What else could it be?
What is that?
What else could it be?
I see.
I'd say that even of the other choices, this is the one that makes the most sense.
Because I was thinking that, in general, whatever I have been reading about,
Sure, sure.
partial and authors,
Yeah. That these are the
it's just like
hypocrites and
somebody
the
has
fire.
lit a fire,
Yeah.
and that somebody needs not necessarily with a prophet, but suppose the fire is lit and there is the light alarm, but
It doesn't contradict.
then those people who don't want to see that,
Yeah.
or it is the situation where God takes away their sight,
Yeah.
Nasara.
Yeah. I think
Nasara, the Absolute, Nasara.
Mhm.
So Basaris is not just, taking away the light, it is that they
their understanding, their explanation. Meaning the key part is this last part here, right? That even if this person is not the prophet, peace upon him, even if this is one of them, Allah's taking away their life.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the key part. Yeah.
That's right.
Think about, yes, sir.
I think there is a point of also disappointment in the ayat.
Very nice. Okay, explain further.
Yeah, it's, if you go put the Arabic مثلهم كمثل الذي استوقد نارا. It's like people who wants to cook, so they lit a fire, and then when the fire starts to illuminate what's around them, at that moment Allah takes away their sight.
So they're frustrated.
They're frustrated.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah.
Yes. So,
Yeah, this would be like the point that you're making. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
so it's
Metaphor, right?
So think about, for example, we make this dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Please make easy for me what is halal. Please make hard for me what is haram. Okay? When we're making that dua, what else are we essentially saying? Please make appealing for me what is halal. And please make repulsive for me, please make hateful for me what is haram. Right? And so this is think about this dua that we're making. Not only to make halal easy and haram hard, but to make halal delicious, to make halal appealing, to make haram gross, repulsive, yucky. Right? So good, spending time with little kids. Okay. Okay, so this is the first metaphor. Second metaphor.
Like people.
Oh, actually, I'm sorry, I left out one part. Then it says, deaf, dumb, and blind, they will not return. Deaf, mute, blind, not returning. Yeah, that won't be enough. Okay, sorry, it's I'm at the corner there.
So this
Okay.
is,
Sorry?
no, I was saying, so I'm saying, is this the final word for me?
Well, at this point, if these people are reaching a point of no return.
Yeah.
Can you reach a point of no return in belief? Because here we're speaking of people who reach a point of no return in rejection. Can you reach a point of no return in belief? Can you reach a point of belief where you've gone beyond any possibility of going off belief?
There's no such thing.
Death and there is death.
Allah muqallib al-qulub.
Death and there is
Sorry?
Allah muqallib al-qulub. There's no such thing as not returning.
But is it possible to reach a point of no return? One of my teachers says, yes, there is. You can reach a point of no return of rejection as well as a point of no return of belief. Yes, sir.
If it is the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, no one shall enter into paradise unless there's a mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One of the disciples said, even you, Prophet? He said, even I.
Mhm.
So if the shaitan, there are 6 billion people living on the face of this planet. You see, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala withdraw his mercy from this planet, from earth, the shaitan will convert every single one into the most wicked human being ever. So if you have any faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's a mercy from him.
Mhm. Sure. Sounds good. Okay. Let's go now to Brother Conyers, the next metaphor.
Or like people who, under a cloud burst from the sky, with its darkness, thunder, and lightning, put their fingers into their ears to keep out the thunderclaps for fear of death. God surrounds the disbelievers.
Okay, so let's take this piece by piece. So, what are they like? Okay, so these are people. And what do we have? What's taking place? We have this wild thunderstorm. Okay. And what else? What else is happening? What's the next part? Okay. So they put their fingers in their ear. Why?
Drown out the call, the message.
Okay.
They don't want to hear.
To block the thunder. Yeah. They're afraid of the thunder. And then what does it say after that?
God surrounds the discouraged. Or for fear of
Oh, right
death.
before that, yeah, fear of death. Got that in the notes. And then وَاللَّهُ مُحِيطٌ بِالْكَافِرِينَ. Muhit is surrounding them essentially from all sides, like an ocean surrounding an island. Okay, so consider this environment. We have this wild thunderstorm. Okay. Lightning and thunder is in the sky. What do? How does that protect them?
They don't hear it.
Okay. What don't they hear? Thunder. Can thunder hurt you? No, thunder can't hurt you. Thunder can scare you. Okay. Lightning,
Hear drums.
it might have to be really loud for it to blow your eardrums, maybe. Okay. But if anything, they should fear the lightning rather than the thunder. And maybe at least they should close their eyes. Okay. But you see what they're doing. They're protecting themselves from something that can't even hurt them because of this fear, this terror. What is their fear of? Fear of death. Okay. Now, when we spoke about anger back when we were discussing Al-Fatiha, the analogy of anger is, in terms of the way anger behaves, anger is like fire. Anger is like a fire in a forest. It just grows and grows. It consumes and consumes, and it grows more and more and more. How do you put out anger? With water. Okay? You know, we say you fight fire with fire. No, you fight fire with water. Okay? Fear is more like lightning. If you have a fear of death, it's going to go through you in all kinds of different directions. You're going to fear all kinds of weird things. Okay? So these people fear death, and that fear of death is making them fear things that can't even hurt them, okay? like thunder. It's just like if the dog starts barking, and I cover my ears, because I'm afraid the dog's bark is going to kill me. You should fear the dog's teeth. But what is the real thing you should fear? You should fear the one who is controlling the lightning and the thunder. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we have two lessons here. If you're going to fear something, at least fear something that can hurt you. But what is the real thing you should fear if you're going to fear anything? You should fear the one who's controlling it all. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala whether or not this lightning is going to hit me. Okay. That's the fear I should have.
But you're not supposed to be scared of Allah.
You are not supposed to be scared of Allah.
How could a lamb worship a wolf if he's afraid?
How could a lamb worship
Might
a
mean
wolf?
something in the sense that be conscious of God because you cannot hide.
Okay. Okay.
But doesn't mean trembling, shivering kind of thing. In
Sure,
the sense
we're not
that
talking about that. But still, if you're going to fear anything, you should fear Allah more than the lightning. You should fear lightning more than you should fear the thunder. Because the thunder can't hurt.
I never heard وَلَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ.
That's a level to get to, which we will speak about. The translation is, they have no fear, nor shall they grieve. Did the Prophet, peace upon him, have fear?
Yes.
Yeah, of course he did. Meaning, part of what are we doing in terms of our discussions is straightening out what we should fear, what we should not fear. And here's one of the lessons here, that think of how many things that a person might fear that can't hurt them. I had this experience in class, in my undergrad class, not last week, the week before that. We were talking about something, maybe it was the Day of Judgment, and this girl suddenly got up and started walking away. And I asked her, well, what happened to you? And she said, oh, there's a spider down there. And then I looked, I couldn't see any spider. It was probably about this big. And then other people were looking, they all started getting scared of the spider. The spider can't do anything to you, and you're wearing shoes. Right? But the point is that When you have fear, fear is very irrational. It goes in all kinds of strange directions. So part of the goal is to control your fear and direct it so that at least you're fearing something that could hurt you, and better than that, you're fearing the one who controls everything. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
I mean, Allah will say, I create mother, I create daylight, I create beauty. I don't have to be fear.
So you're saying you have no fear?
Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. I'm Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim.
Okay.
And I never heard anywhere Allah says, be afraid of me.
Okay.
There is a rules and regulations of life.
Okay.
If you break those rules,
Okay.
then you're going to be a very unhappy person.
Okay.
And things going to happen to you.
Okay.
But it doesn't mean that
But that means
Allah
you
is
fear
to
him.
be feared.
But that's exactly what we're saying, right? That there are consequences. When Allah speaking to Bani Israel, this is in Ayah 40, He says to them directly, fear me. Right? But in the context you're saying, exactly, right?
But their fear, maybe they have translated it some word into
No,
fear.
it's fear. It's fear.
وَلَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ.
Okay, that's a level to get to,
Different
right?
context.
Obviously we all have fear, right? If you can say honestly you have no
Of course I
fear,
have a lot of fear.
right, that's what we're saying here.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the last metaphor. Ayah 20, Brother Connie.
The lightning almost snatches away their sight. Whenever it flashes on them, they walk on, and when darkness falls around them, they stand still. If God so willed, He could take away their hearing and sight. God has power over everything.
Okay, very nice. Jazakumullah. More about them. So we have lightning. Almost blinds them. Okay, the lightning almost takes away their sight. And then what? What does it say?
Snatch away the sight. Whenever it flashes on them, they walk on, and when darkness falls around them, they stand still.
Okay, so when it flashes, they walk. When dark, they are still. Okay. And then, what's the last part?
If God so willed, He could take away their hearing and sight. God has power over everything.
Okay. Okay. So here we are. We have these people. Already, they're afraid of the thunder, so they put their fingers in their ears, as though that protects them. Now, what they should have feared, at least, was the lightning. And here they're relying upon lightning to give them guidance. The thing that could kill them is what they're relying upon for guidance. Okay? Already there's a problem. And so what do? When it flashes, you know how it is when it's lightning. It's dark outside, and then it's as bright as day. So what do? They take a step. Now it's dark again. So they don't move. Because why? They don't know if that next step is safe. Then what would happen if Allah took away their sight and their hearing? What are they going to do? They're going to be paralyzed with fear. Okay. So the previous metaphor, this one, the one about the rainstorm, is about fear. This metaphor is about what? That even if it is dark, you want to have the trust of Allah that your step will be safe. Not in a delusionary way, okay, Allah's taking care of me, so I'm just going to keep walking, through traffic. Allah will take care of me. No, Allah didn't make such a promise, right? We're taught to keep your camel tied, okay, and then trust Allah. But if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, do this, or do that, He's the one who is controlling the world. He's the one who's giving the instruction. So we need to have a level of trust that our steps will be safe. As frightening as it might be. What am I saying here? That if we look at the first metaphor, this is the person kindling a fire. What do we want to have? We want to have the outlook that when the light comes, it causes us light. It does not cause us darkness. So when guidance is offered to us, We want to find it appealing. We want to find it something that we want, like we're thirsty for it. In the second case, for believers, when is it hard to obey Allah? Like, think of the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us to do. What makes it hard for us to fulfill these things? What are some of the things that make it difficult? Allah says do this and do this. What do we start getting worried about?
What if it's not the right way?
Okay, so it could be, is it not the right way? So let's say we conclude this is the right way, this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants. What makes it hard? Whether you're in high school, college, professional life, what makes it hard to obey Allah? Yeah, what about other people? What they might think of you, what they might say. That is thunder. Can what people say hurt us? It's no different than this person in the rainstorm who's afraid of the thunder. That is what often frightens us. What are people going to say if I do this? And I'm doing this only out of service to Allah. Not hurting anybody, what are they going to say? Okay. So rather than fear the thunder of their voices, fear Allah. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us to take a step, and it looks dark, it looks scary, trust Allah that it will be okay.
Encouraging risk taking.
Not so much courage and risk taking, but having confidence that Allah will take care of you. Right?
I mean, don't please yourself or egocentric or something to save your skin or something.
No, not necessarily even going that far. But if Allah says take a step, you take a step, even if it's scary. Right? Now, why am I describing all of this way? That when guidance comes to us, we want to find it tasty, we want to find it appealing. When we are going to fear, we should fear Allah, not the thunder of other people. When Allah tells us to move, we take a step trusting Allah, because ayah 21 and 22 will be the first commands. Up to this point, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not told us anything to do this or to do that. In ayah 21 and 22, now we're going to start getting instructions. Okay? And so the goal first is to have this attitude that when these instructions come, first, I'm going to find it beneficial, appealing. Second, it might be scary, but I'm going to fear Allah more. And third, Allah is telling me to do this, so I will be safe, inshallah. Like there's the ayah, this is in Surah Muhammad, Surah 47, that if you help Allah, Allah will help you and make your footsteps firm. But this we will say for next week, inshallah. Next week we'll get into the first command of the Qur'an. Time for a cliffhanger, right? Okay, so next week, inshallah, we will look at ayah 21 and 22. These are the first commands. And then ayah 23 and 24, how to address the issue of doubt. What if I'm someone who, I know I'm looking at this, but I'm not sure if I should follow it, I'm not sure if I should believe it. How to address doubt. And then ayah 25 is the third command. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through the Prophet peace be upon him has laid it all out for us. Okay. So that is all that I have for today. We will have class next week. Next week is July 1st. It is the beginning of the ISNA convention, so I know a lot of people will be going there, but we will be having class next week, inshallah. Okay, that's all I have for today. Wa akhir da'wana alhamdulillah.